Welcome into NFL Daily, sponsored by Mint Mobile. Plan starting at just $15 a month on America's largest 5G network. Tyler Jones here with you. So glad to have you with us. On today's show, we will look at Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest big board for the 2023 NFL Draft. Not too early to already be looking ahead to next April, so let's go ahead and break it down for you. Kiper has Will Anderson from Alabama as the number one player overall, followed by C.J. Stroud, the first quarterback on his board out of the Ohio State. Number 3 on the list is Jalen Carter, defensive tackle from Georgia, followed by quarterback Will Levis from Kentucky. Yes, that's 2 quarterbacks ahead of the reigning Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young. And then there's defensive tackle Bryan Bresee at that number 5 spot. So that's the top 5 for Kiper at this point. Let's tell you about Will Anderson. And Will Anderson is the number 1 player overall. As Kiper says, I think he would have been the number 1 overall pick had he entered the draft last year. And the numbers already have been incredible for Will Anderson. An All-American, a unanimous All-American in 2021, and was the SEC Defensive Player of the Year, the MVP of the Cotton Bowl. And quite frankly, the way I look at it with Will Anderson in this upcoming draft, and I know some people are going to disagree with me, but that's okay. If I have the number 1 pick, I don't care what team it is, and you may be desperate for a quarterback. I don't care. You have to take Will Anderson number 1, and then you figure out your quarterback situation later. He is too good of a player to pass up. I think that you have to go with Will Anderson and then see where the cards fold where they may. Whether you have to trade back into the first round to get the quarterback you want, or signing a quarterback in free agency, or putting things off a year. Will Anderson is too good to pass up. I think the draft starts with Will Anderson at 1, and then you figure out the quarterbacks and all that after that. Will Anderson, for me, is that number 1 overall pick. What say you? Would you draft Will Anderson with the number 1 overall pick? I would. Would you? Let me know in the comments section. Type Y for yes, type N for no. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it and get your votes in. Y for yes, N for no, if you would draft Will Anderson number 1. Moving on down through the big board, we finally see Bryce Young at number 6 as the number 3 quarterback. Then the first running back on the board is Bijan Robinson out of the University of Texas, followed by offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr. out of Ohio State. Then at the number 9 spot is Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern, and then Jordan Addison, who spent most of his career with Pittsburgh, recently transferred to USC to play for Lincoln Riley. He slides in as the number 10 player. And I want to profile Bijan Robinson. You guys already know about Bryce Young, so we'll save that for another day. But let's talk about Bijan now. Bijan Robinson, for me, is fascinating to see a running back that high, a first-team All-American in the Big 12 last year, and he led the entire FBS in broken tackles forced per game. Mel Kiper said he runs inside, he runs outside. He catches passes, he scores a lot of touchdowns. This guy can do it all at the running back position. And I don't think it's a stretch to say Bijan Robinson, to me, looks like the best running back that is coming out since probably Adrian Peterson. That's how good, that's how high I think of Bijan Robinson. He is that type of impact player. Usually, I am very against the idea of drafting running backs in the first round. But, like what we talked about with Will Anderson, of a player that's just too good to pass up, I think in Bijan's case, with the raw talent he brings and all the things he can do, I would bet that Bijan ends up in the first round. So that's my prediction. Bijan Robinson, despite the way the NFL has gone and the lack of running backs in the first round, I think Bijan finds a way to get picked in the first round. I think so. If you agree with me, type T for true. If you disagree with that statement, type F for false. Let me know. Bijan Robinson will get picked in the first round of the draft. T for true, F for false. Today's show is sponsored by Mint Mobile. And Mint Mobile is on America's largest 5G network with plans starting as low as $15 a month. You can seamlessly switch between 5G and 4G LTE. Whichever one's stronger, Mint Mobile is going to take care of you. You don't have to worry about turning on airplane mode and trying to reset your phone or anything like that. Mint Mobile's got you covered. Even your mom is going to ask you to stop calling so much. With the money that you're saving with the unlimited talk and text that Mint Mobile provides, it's a great deal. And it's all in one place. MintMobile.com/chatsports. This deal is offered just for viewers of NFL Daily. If you go to MintMobile.com/chatsports, start saving today. Plans starting at just $15 a month. Let's continue through the rest of the big board now. And number 11 on the list is, yes, a player from Army. No, that's not something, a misprint or anything here. No. Andre Carter II is the number 11 player on the board. More on him in just a second. Also on the list, you have Jackson Smith, a wide receiver from Ohio State. A lot of Ohio State guys already on this list. Another wide receiver at number 13, and that's Kayshon Boutte on the list. Or Kayshon Boutte, thank you. And number 14 on the list we see also in the SEC is Drew Sanders, a linebacker from Arkansas, and then another quarterback, our fourth quarterback in the top 15, that's Anthony Richardson from Florida. He looked pretty good in that Utah game a couple weeks ago. But let's talk about Andre Carter II. He's from Army, was a third-team All-American last year. Army has not had a first-round pick since 1946. It's been that long. And Andre Carter II, such a talented player, they have everything worked out where if he gets the opportunity to go pro and get drafted like we all think he will and everything, then he'll be able to go. It's not going to be a Roger Staubach situation where he has to sit out and go serve or anything like that. I mean, this is a unique talent in Andre Carter, and I'm so excited. Great man of character, incredible pass rusher, and as Mel Kiper says, can fit into any defensive scheme. And look, there's so many schemes these days, and all these defenses are getting so creative here. Andre Carter is going to jump in right away and be able to be an instant impact player. That says a lot. I'm excited for him to see what he can do in the National Football League going forward. He's going to be one that's going to be really cool and a great story to be from Army and potentially the first-round pick since 46. We are covering the NFL as well as the NBA and college football here on Chat Sports with daily NFL news, rumors, live shows, and more. We are going to have our Red Zone channel coming up this weekend on Sunday as we'll whip around the entire National Football League and give you the latest updates of all the games going on across the league. So make sure to subscribe if you haven't already so you never miss a moment of all the latest happenings across the National Football League, right here on NFL Daily, on Chat Sports. Subscribe now, turn on notifications, youtube.com/chatsportstv. More names for you on the big board for Mel, and it includes the first tight end that we see on the list, Michael Mayer from Notre Dame at number 16. Then Joey Porter Jr. comes in at number 17, a cornerback from Penn State. Miles Murphy, an edge rusher from Clemson. Then at number 19 is Cam Smith, a cornerback from South Carolina. And at number 20 is Keely Ringo, a cornerback from Georgia. You can see pretty decent number of corners on this list. Let's talk about Joey Porter Jr. here. And I think we all remember his dad, Joey Sr., and, was a heck of a football player for the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? Two-time first-team NFL All-Pro, won a Super Bowl with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And Joey Porter last year was a third-team All-Big Ten performer. I think that we're really going to see him step up and play to an All-American level this year. And certainly some intrigue, some interest to see what he can do as he takes that next step. Mel Kiper described Joey Porter Jr. as a lanky and physical defender who can reroute receivers. That says a lot right there. That's what you want to see is guys that show off that size, that can play physical and, throw receivers off their game like that. Joey Porter Jr. is what the NFL is looking for in this next generation of defensive backs. He is one that really fascinates me. We'll see what Joey Porter Jr. can put together for an NFL team and this last year with Penn State before he likely goes to the NFL draft. Who is the best player in the 2023 NFL draft? Whether it's a player that's on Mel's list or somebody else, let us know in the comments section. Get rowdy in there and tell me who the best player in your opinion is in 2023. You know that I'm saying Will Anderson, but what's your answer? Let us know in the comments section who the best player is in the upcoming draft. The final 5 names on Mel Kiper Jr.'s big board include quarterback Tyler Van Dyke out of the University of Miami, as well as outside linebacker Isaiah Foskey, and then at number 23 is Tuli Tuipulotu, the defensive lineman from USC. And a couple more names to round out the big board for Mel. 24 is Deion Hensley, the outside linebacker from Washington State. And then at number 25 is Jalen Duncan, the offensive tackle from Maryland. Let's tell you about Tyler Van Dyke. And last year was a breakout performer for the University of Miami, for the U. Was the Rookie of the Year in the ACC. And Miami, program with a new head coach this year, they're trying to build. And they got all that NIL money coming in. I think Miami is a team that is a sleeping giant. Look, Tyler Van Dyke doesn't have to come out this year. I think if he comes out in this draft, he's a guy that's probably the 4th or 5th quarterback taken. If he stays and goes in next year's draft, he's probably number 1 overall, and Miami's probably competing for the ACC next year. So with that said, Tyler Van Dyke, a lot of potential. Don't know if he's going to come out just yet, but he's shown some good potential at this point. Kiper describes him as agile and can throw on the run and has the arms to make every single throw. So how about that? So what team will have the number 1 overall pick in the draft next April? I think all of us have a few ideas of who that could be. What say you? What team is going to have that number 1 pick to take a player like Will Anderson or somebody else that we mentioned? Let us know in the comments section what team will have that number 1 pick. That does it for NFL Daily today. We will see you next time. As always, you can interact with me on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that at Tyler Jones Live. You can follow me there. Love chatting with you guys there, and I'll see you next time here on NFL Daily.